Recording. Right, this is off the cuff, and always a pleasure and honor on my dear friend and motivational speaker and coach. Welcome to the Carew Show, Jamie Denyar. How you doing, bro?
I'm really, really good, my man. We've had to go through hell and high water to kind of get this all in place to kind of finally come together. But listen, the good things come to those who wait, right? And it's like, we've had to plan some stuff and kind of get round stuff because we're both like proper busy people with children thrown into the mix, and like with kids, like things can just change on a moment's notice. Do you know what I mean? So listen, it's a real honor and a privilege to be here, brother. All good, all good.
Oh man, it's been a while. It's just for the audience. I had just to sort of off the cuff, folks. Apologize for yesterday's podcast, and also like I mentioned, with our own discussions, nothing's ever perfect. Anything can happen live. It's good to have pre-recorded, but even on pre-recorded, when you're trying to do things, some things are out of your hands, and like you just got to laugh at it, because I've noticed that certain people on social media, we take things so seriously that we get frustrated and angry, when actually some of it's not even in our hands. It's something that you can't physically stop. With technology, sometimes it has its disadvantages. With the networks, and broadband, anything like that. My last guest that I had yesterday, who starred in Holby City, the character was Daisha Anderson, Rebecca Grant, who was also in Soap Doctors. She was also trying to get herself on board to try and get right connectivity. We're like you and I are, we're fortunate to have, even learn from our own mistakes, that even like you and I, with a Zoom, you don't know where you could be anywhere now. Unfortunately, where I am here, sometimes the connectivity is absolutely rubbish. You have to either go to a cafe, go to maybe like a hot desk thing, or somewhere, anywhere that's available where you can be undisturbed. Lots of noise going around, lots of distractions, and you can't have a proper chat like you and I now. And then, what I find quite fortunate as well, Jamie, is that when I came home, both my sons were actually asleep. Yeah,
like into the peace and quiet, right?
Yes.
So it's like stuff can happen, and it's good to plan. It's good to plan, absolutely. But some of the best stuff is the stuff that comes off the cuff, the stuff that's scripted, that isn't planned, that isn't structured. But that there in itself is just an analogy of life as a whole, because no one has got control over kind of what comes their way. And this is the thing, is one of the massive Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius. Now, this guy was like the emperor of Rome. He was in control of an entire army. He had luxury, he had fame, he had fortune, but the leader of the biggest army in the world. But he had to literally keep himself in check. And this guy said, we have power over our minds, but not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength, meaning that we've got no control over what comes our way in life, or how things pan out, or how they're structured. Yes, we have a great influence on it, and we can do our best to kind of guide it in a certain way. But there are things that just come out of the blue, just knock us for six. We've got no power over that, but it's all about how we think about it and how we react to it and what our mindset is about it. So yeah, that there is just an analogy of life, and kind of that's what's guided me into being who I am and kind of what I do. Like, I've got no control over kind of what's happened to me in my life, but I've used that pain and I've turned it into power.
We appreciate that. It's because, for example, a lot of things in life that we can't control, and I'd like to also mention grief, death, and even like to mention, like even now, the way the nation has been affected, with, regardless if we're royalist or not, it's respect. That's how we've been brought up. And, a lot of people have gone on there that haven't been keeping things to themselves. But recently, I've noticed it's all been positive. It's all been good, which makes a change, because even the G20 and even the world leaders have even come together and actually paid respects and actually behaved themselves, which makes a change, over war. With the way the recent situation with the Ukraine and Russia at the moment.
But that's the thing, is it's like this, it shouldn't take like the leader of a country, like the leader of like the royal family, in order to make people behave. This is the thing, is it's like people get bedazzled and people get starstruck by seeing the surface. See, me myself, I like to dig below the surface. It's like people are getting all gassed up, like thinking, oh yeah, like this is nice, this is good, like these people are behaving now. So I'm saying to myself, yeah, but why can't these people behave on a regular basis then? Why can't they keep that going? Because this will be a very, very short-lived thing. They will be going back to misbehaving very, very soon. This is the thing. This is what people do. This is human nature. So we are creature of habits. So it's like it's one of them that we have to really kind of keep ourselves in check, and we have to work on ourselves to actually kind of behave better and kind of be the best versions of ourselves. But this is why I don't get bedazzled easily. Like, I don't get gassed up easy. Like, it has to be something pretty extravagant for me to kind of really take note and say, do you know what, that's good. And I'm not saying that I'm hard to please. It's just that I know these people are going to be back to misbehaving very, very soon, because they are creatures of habit. And it's just a shame that it takes something like this in order for people to behave. So that there shows me that there is a massive problem. So yeah, I'm not getting pulled in by it. I'm not kind of gassed up by it, or I'm not impressed by it. I'd like to go deeper. And so I'd like to see these people behaving on a regular basis, but it's kind of not happening.
Yeah, well, this is it. I think sometimes we have to remember ourselves, not what we see in the media, but also focusing on, great advice from yourself. We need to. It was a hard bit of pill to swallow for myself, where my own worst enemy as myself, when behaving as we should in front of our children. Now, the thing is, I've noticed this. Past tense and even current situations, in terms of behavior wise, you mentioned that when you're looking after people, it is also important, because I was really sort of, my own worst enemy with this, where I was trying my best, past tense, to try and help people, when actually inside, when you see somebody every day, I could be outdoors. This is my own sort of effect, my own mental health at the time. I went inwards, because there was a lot of things going on. There's a lot of things going on even within the year, 2022, and even the past several years. Sometimes there'd be like a build up where I had to come off the grid. I'm completely come off social media. I might have just like check in now and again.
Need to do that though, Phil. That's the thing, is it's like everybody needs to do that, because what people need to realize is social media is the biggest enemy to us that we've ever seen. It's the biggest enemy to our well-being. It's the biggest enemy to our own emotional, psychological, mental health. This is the thing, is because what people don't realize is just how toxic it is. Even when you're on there giving out positively and productively, out there helping people, out there giving the best version of yourself, just spreading the good, it still has its effect on you, because you're that person that's putting yourself in the arena. And if you've ever read like the Roosevelt poem called like The Man in the Arena, listen, go and read it, because it's amazing. Because it kind of explains that there are people that will put themselves in the spotlight, who will go out there and dare to do great things. People will try and knock you down, they will try and bring you down, but listen, it's better to try and not get to where it is, at least to get to where it is you want to get to. But it's better than those timid souls that have never tasted victory nor defeat because they've never tried. This is the thing, is when you're out there doing good things, you're more liable to be shot down, you're more liable to get negativity, you're more liable to get hatred. You're literally seeing all this stuff on social media that, as a good, giving, positive and productive person, it slowly chips away at your soul, because either consciously or subconsciously, what you do is you will compare your life to other people. You will see where people are, what they're doing, what they've got, what they're up to, what they're wearing, what they're driving, the house in which they're living in, and people will be thinking to themselves, consciously or subconsciously, why haven't I got that? Why haven't I managed to get to that place? Why haven't I managed to get to where they are? You know, I've put in loads of hard work. I've put in blood, sweat, and tears. Why am I not there? Why haven't I got that? And then it slowly chips away at your value and your self-worth. And now I know, like, by going into all these schools and colleges and universities and primary schools, comprehensive schools, like the youth clubs, like literally talking to these youngsters and seeing that their self-esteem is so low, their value, their worth, you know, what they think of themselves. They think they haven't got a purpose. They think that they've got no mission. They've got no worth or no value. Like, no wonder, because they're comparing their life to all these other people, and it's all down to social media. It doesn't take a scientist. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to work it out. It doesn't take a detective to work it out. It's there in plain sight. So listen, mate, everybody needs to take a break and come away from social media. But it's amazing because it is an addiction. It is an addiction because it sets off that little bit of dopamine inside us, that chemical inside us just because someone's commented on my post, just because someone's liked my post, just because someone shared it. Oh my, listen, I put loads of stuff out on social media. I don't care whether it gets 5 views, 500 or 5,000. I couldn't care less, because at the end of the day, even in them 5, like I could help all 5 of them people that watch it. 5,000 people could watch it, and literally it not help one person. It's all about the quality as opposed to the quantity. It's just many people are in that sheep mindset that they feel safe and they feel calm and they feel reassured by numbers, and numbers mean nothing.
How do you feel in terms of, so I remember you had a great conversation with myself, and I know I was just mentioning to the audience now that I was in a particular situation where I felt a bit lost and not knowing where to find some help, because sometimes you speak to other friends and family. Some of them, unfortunately, you know, it's not that they don't care about you, they do, but others, they're not sure how to go approach you, because they will tell you what you want to hear. They'll give you some good advice. Some of the advice they'll give you will be useful, but might not actually, you may not be able to take it, because it's not always the advice that will suit you in your situation. Because, you know, from their perspective, you know, whatever might be good for them may not always be good for you, you know, and you have to be in between the 4 walls, like you mentioned. When you start off, it's all well and good. I learned the hard way, Jamie, seriously, mate. It was like going cold turkey on a habit of not eating chocolate, or for those that haven't drank for a while, going sober, or who haven't, who've just come out of a really bad addiction. And it was like that. And for me, it was emotional. Seriously, bro, I had to dig deep, so far inside. Part of me, there was like anger, confusion, loads of different things. And there'd be times I'd have to shut the door behind me where, you know, it's not that I wouldn't want to cry in front of Meg. Sometimes, you know, or anyone else, you know, anyone else that I know, you know, whether it's family, friends, anybody that I know or like that, it was more of, sometimes I'd do it to protect them, you know, because I'm feeling that we do things to protect others from not seeing that, but we do it, you know, they call it the way of the quiet or silent warrior. What you do, you're doing your deeds, but instead of putting upon your own problems to other people, you're dealing with it in the best way you can without having to throw it onto them. You know, where I've got my own stuff, you got your own stuff, other people in the world out there have got their own stuff, but we're not being like a fisherman where we're catching them as the fish and saying, here we go, you know, or the crab, you know, where the little story of the crab, what they're doing is I say, yeah, we like you. All of a sudden you think, well, hold on a minute, you're trying to escape from it, and then you got all the group of the crabs come in and then they pull you in, and you'll think, oh no, you know, and you think, how am I going to escape this? And I used to feel like this sometimes, and what would you say would be a little bit of a tip or advice for some that some of those out there? Because I know I had this little topic with a great little chat with my friend James Mace, who started off a few years ago, Walk and Talk for Men. Now, there's no judgment. You know, you come out, you speak, you have a chat, have a walk, and have a cup of tea. You can even do that, do whatever you want. So there's no judgment. You're there as long as there's someone there to listen. And that's what we always need to do. And I think, unfortunately, over the years, yes, we have the Samaritans where you pick up the phone, but it's not the same as physically having somebody there, you know, where they can actually be there, where they're having a walk with you, having a chat. Like you and I, I know you're not next door, or you're not down the road from me, Jamie, but this is like the next best thing. I think it's good to have something like this, you know, where I've got a hot drink in front of me, I'm having a chat, you know, and I think it's a healthy thing, because if some people are not able to make a walk, it's good to have someone listen to you, you know, like you and I are now. You know, there's a lot of young men.
This is like the next best thing, but you can't underestimate the power of kind of being with someone physically, because we are social beings. We are born to be with other people, bounce off of them, interact with them, and that's why don't get it twisted. That's why you know the last kind of 2.5, 3 years have affected us so badly, is because we were locked away from other human beings. So we wasn't prepared for that. We're not made for that. We're not built for that. So you know that's why it hit people in ways that you could never ever have imagined. And a lot of work that I do now is kind of dealing with the aftermath of that. So I know how important that is. But you kind of asked me, like, what's the tip? Like when you're in this place, when you're kind of, you know, right, like when you feel the weight, when you feel the darkness, when you feel the pressure, you're feeling a little bit lost, you have to make some acknowledgements, right? You have to make some admittance, right? One of them is, right, you've got to realize that you're on your own. You've got to realize that in so many situations, yes, you can have people around you. Yes, there can be people there ready to help you, but you're on your own. They can talk to you until you're blue in the face. It's like me. Listen, right, when I go in and do talks, like I can say that I can speak to some people for 24 hours a day, like 23 and a half hours out of the 24, and it won't make a difference. You know, listen, I've done my bit. Like you've literally got to do your bit. Like you've got to do as I say. You've got to do apply the advice that I've given and actually carry it out with actions, right? So you have to admit that you're on your own, right? No one's coming to save you, right? So you have to think to yourself, right, first and foremost, I'm on my own. Then you have to have a battle with yourself. Listen, it's a mental, psychological, and emotional battle with yourself, where you're literally saying, like, there's a voice saying, "There's no hope. Listen, you can't get out of this. Like, you can't achieve this. There is no point." Like you then have to fight back. Like you've got to get up and start doing. Like this word action comes into play again, even if it's doing the little things, even if it's doing tiny little things. Like sit down and invest enough in yourself. What am I talking about? A little bit of time. Just remember the things that are literally important to you, what you used to love doing. Yeah, you may feel helpless now. You may feel heavy now. You may feel numb now, right? This is a big word. Like you may feel numb to everything now, but you can remember what used to bring you joy. Now, this stuff, it may be going for a walk. It may be riding a bike. It may be drawing. It may be sewing. It may be knitting. It may, something. It may be like structuring stuff out of clay. Like it may be something. Go and do that. Go and do that, and you may not be doing it through like whistling and singing and skipping. You may have to do it through gritted teeth. You most probably have to do it through gritted teeth, but that doesn't mean to say that you cannot still do it, because you have to slowly start chipping away and fighting back against this bully that's inside your own head by saying that it's helpless, it's over, there's no point, there's no hope, right? You have to start chipping away at it. It's like this little baby steps. But here's the problem. Going back to stuff like social media and the influence that we're around, we live in an instant generation now. And we get stuff instantly, whether it's films, whether it's information, whether it's food, we get it instant now. And we think that that's what stuff is going to be like. Oh, that's all I've got to do is take one little walk and my problems are going to be over. Oh, just make one model out of clay. Oh, my problems are going to be over. Take one pill. Oh, my problems are going to... No. You got to realize that you're in a battle, that you got to realize that you're in a fight, you're in a war. Like you're in a 12-round boxing match, and this opponent that's trying to knock you out, that's trying to hurt you, listen, it's going to take you down if you let it. You're not just going to go in the ring, throw one combination, and then that's it, you're the champion. No, you got to realize this is another admittance that it's going to take work, that it's going to take time, that it's going to take effort. You can't do it instantly. But that's what people get so discouraged and despondent about, because I know now, Phil, that looking back, like when I was younger, like there was pressures, and there was a natural resilience that I had, right? So it was a fair fight. They were kind of like fighting against each other. Nowadays, the pressures are higher. Absolutely, the pressures are higher. This doesn't just apply to children. This applies to adults as well. The pressures are higher, but there is a lower natural resilience in people. That's the problem. I can't bring your pressures down. So I work with people to kind of bring their resilience levels up. You've got to realize something. Listen, that life is just going to keep smashing you down if you let it. It's going to keep hitting you. It's going to keep throwing them combinations. So what are you going to do? You're going to curl up and die? Or are you going to come out fighting? That's it. It's either one or the other. It's black and white. Like there's no gray in this. So that's what people don't want to hear. People want to hear the easy stuff. They want the shortcut. They want the sudden change. They want the good news. That's why when I go and speak, I make loads of friends, right? But I make also enemies. But at the start, the enemies who are enemies turn into friends. And even if they stay enemies, they've still got respect for me. They may not like me and what I say, but they've got respect for me because what I'm saying is truth, and truth hurts. So that's the thing, is like, just to recap, have that acceptance. Have that acceptance that you're on your own. You're going to need to put in work. You're going to need to put in action, that this isn't going to be instant. It's going to take work. And listen, let's go for it. Will it be hard? Absolutely. Will it be worth it? More spot on, 200%.
Yeah, no, I appreciate this, Jamie, because I think you hear some of these articles and stories. I remember several years ago, I think it was Tesco's. It was one of the CEOs in Tesco's somewhere in the UK, and unfortunately, I think with these high-powered positions, a lot of people don't realise that inside, even the workplace, I feel that there is only a few that I've noticed, but I think they've started to over the past few years. Now, this is ironic. When was it? I think it was part of the time when you and I just connected, and I was speaking from my own experience and from my own mind of when I can, as far as I can remember. And then it just blew up from there. It was ironic because I remember the year when Prince William became part of being, I think, the FIFA president, being, I think, president for FIFA and football. And then they started talking about mental health, because around roughly about, I think, a few months before that, I was discussing about how important it was, and even maybe yourself around that time, about being the grief preacher, and myself, going through different experiences, different things, because it becomes part of a trauma for people, like they do when they've been at war. It doesn't affect just people at war, it affects people on a daily basis, like from people in and around society, because a lot of people tend to think you get this PTSD just from the war. You don't. You get it everywhere. And people that have been through domestic violence, other areas, through volatile upbringing, you know, different things. You know, there's so many different factors that you mentioned before. And then I think it's become one of those things where some areas that people don't want to talk about, it becomes a stigma. It's not just mental health or mental health awareness, it's everything as a whole that becomes the it branches out. It's like a tree. Mental health awareness and mental health itself and well-being, mental well-being inside as a whole. And I've noticed this. They're either trying to deal with it with schools now, because the type of job that I had before, I was doing online courses for people, and it was to do with mental health and well-being, and what we mentioned even now, part of the topic, autism as well. And in terms of that, what I'd like to actually ask you is, what was your backstory of what got you started with your coaching? Because I know this might be sort of halfway through, but this is more of a chilled, relaxed sort of conversation, because this is kind of a show where it's a lot more real. We're normal people. When, you know, even actors, actresses, we're all human. You know, I was discussing this with a close friend of mine earlier. I was just saying, well, look, regardless of what position you're in, you know, the only difference is the financial aspect, you know, but we're still rich within ourselves with our own experiences. You know, that other people, we've got different plateaus of life experiences. You know, some other people haven't reached that plateau of experience of where the area where they're feeling they might have reached yet. And the other goals, like you mentioned, you know, you end up merging these things from where they are, and you're trying to bring up them to that level of where they want to be. Now, what came about with yourself with the coaching? Because I know there's a backstory on there that some of the audience may have already seen on YouTube with yourself on TEDx, but I know there's probably sort of other things as well that some people that may be new to my show and are not aware of who you actually are and what you do, they may have heard of your name, but then maybe it'd be great to perhaps sort of reiterate what your backstory is, Jamie, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, no worries at all. And I think, yeah, it's kind of nice, like, hearing what my beliefs and my opinions are. And some people might think, well, look, he's very forthright, you know what I mean? He's a little bit harsh, he's in your face. Like, what gives him the right to kind of speak this way? Like, what kind of the right to give this advice? And the reason that I'm doing what it is that I'm doing was 2012 kind of turned my world upside down. Now, when I look back before that, I mean, growing up, listen, I grew up on a rough council estate full of drug dealers and drug users, and I was witness to domestic violence, and I saw 2 people killed in broad daylight for drug deals gone wrong. And listen, all that by the time I was 13, do you know what I mean? So it's like this stuff that I've seen, like, this was my environment. But you know what? I've never tried a drug in my life. I've never tried a cigarette in my life. I've never gone out there hurting people, even though that was my surroundings, that was my environment. I didn't want to be that. Do you know what I mean? Because so many people say, well, I'm a product of my environment. Well, guess what? Yes, it takes hard work to say no. It's easier to say yes. This is the thing, is so many people want the easy way out. They just think it's easier to join in instead of standing up for themselves, saying, no, that's not me, and I'm kind of going to walk my own path. So, like, when I was bullied when I was young, do you know what I mean? Like, all this stuff, right? My dad left me when I was 8.5. So all this stuff, like, when I go into young offender institutes and I go into prisons, and I'm asking these inmates, like, well, why did you do it? Why did you do all this bad stuff? Why did you kill them? Why did you batter them to death? Like, why did you hurt these people? Why did you cause so much pain? And I'll say, oh, because my dad left me when I was young, or because of the environment in which I grew up in, or because I was bullied when I was young. And all this stuff happened to me. And I'm saying, well, look, what's the difference? It's the difference in character. It's the difference in choices that we make. That's all it is choices. So I kind of showed maybe leadership qualities, like, right from the off. And listen, I had been, like, married and gone through a divorce, and there was stuff that kind of happened to me throughout my life that kind of tested me. But then jump forward to 2012, which is when, like, myself and my family's life was turned upside down. And that's when my 19-year-old nephew was killed by a single punch. So in a moment, a very young family member's life was taken, and it kind of affected us in ways that we could never, ever have imagined, because for the first time in our family, the natural order of things have been taken out of the game. when people experience death, the first experience that they experience on a regular basis will be their nan and their granddads, you know, and then it comes to their mum and their dad. Like, this is the unwritten rule. This is something that is out of the natural order of things, is when you lose a child. Like, when you lose a child to murder or manslaughter, it's just it's the greatest pain on the planet, bar none. So I saw my sister and my brother-in-law go through this, and it just changed us as people. And it was literally, right, you know what I'm talking about? Black and white. There is no gray. This thing was either going to destroy us, or it was going to break us. It was going to take us down, or we made that choice that it was going to make us, and it was going to kind of lift us up in some way. But I'm not saying that everything happens for a reason, because things happen, and then it's up to us, it's up to you, it's up to the particular individual to make it. So when I was in the darkness, right, when I was in the pit, like, we're talking 7 months after, like, my nephew's life was taken, we got some news that all of a sudden was the boom, was the light switch for me. 2 days after my nephew's life was taken, he saved 5 people's lives with his organs, right? So that was like just the greatest gift that you can ever give, like the gift of life.
Yeah.
But his heart couldn't be used because it was too traumatized. But what could be used was his heart valves, and they were put into storage, right? Frozen storage. So 7 months later, when I was in the darkness, when I was in the pit, we then got the news that he saved the life of a 10-month-old baby girl with one of his heart valves. At that particular time, my beautiful curly-haired princess Tilly was 10 months old. I knew what it was like to be the dad of a 10-month-old baby girl. I knew how much of a blessing and a privilege that was. So that was like Connor, my nephew, saying to me, "Unc, listen, I'm not even here, and I'm saving people. I'm not even here, and I'm doing good work. What's your excuse, Unc? Why can't you use your God-given talent from your words, from your passion, from the fire that you bring and the wisdom that you give? Why can't you use that to do exactly the same? I know you're broke, but you're not broken. Like, I know you're down, but you're not out. Get up, dust yourself off, let's go." So that's when I decided to use the gift that I've got for the gift of speech, the gift of talking, the gift of words. Words are powerful. And I then started off on this journey. So then it was like a couple of months later, we got the news that he saved the life of a 5-year-old boy with his other heart valve. And then further on down the line, we're talking like about 6-7 months after I first started speaking, I can remember being in this particular talk. I'd done 3 one-hour talks in a day for like these year 11s for the upcoming like exams to get them motivated, right? So I had got feedback back, and I had got messages back from when I first started saying, "Amazing talk. You've changed my life. You've made me see things in a different way, different perspective, blah, blah, blah. Thank you. You've given me hope. You've given me motivation." Thank you. But this particular talk was the first of its kind. When I got this email back from this 14-year-old boy, and he said, like, "You haven't just changed my life, but you've saved it, because tonight I was planning on committing suicide." So it was then that I'm like, bang, right, okay, now I get it. Now I get it. My words have saved this boy's life. My nephew saved people's lives with his organs. 2 different ways of doing it, but the same outcome. So I thought that that's the greatest respect that I can pay my nephew. That's the greatest honor and respect that I can pay him, is by going out there, talking the way that I do, bringing the heat, bringing the passion, bringing the fire. So I don't speak for one. I speak for 2. I speak for 2 people, because my nephew's voice was taken on April the 14th, 2012. So I was then thrust upon this path to do something that I was literally born to do, and that I'm created for, right? So when you realize that, it's an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing when you're living your dream, right? When you're living your passion. But trust me on this, there's still negative connotations to it, because what we walk along this road of positivity and productivity and change and development, and loads of challenges come our way. Like I say, the more you put yourself out there, the more that you're a target, emotionally, psychologically, mentally, right?
Yeah.
I have to go and do this thing that I was born to do. I have to go and do this thing that I have an unbelievable amount of passion for, through gritted teeth sometimes, because I'm not bulletproof. I'm not exempt from life's tests and trials. Listen, the weight is on my shoulder sometimes, and I have to do it through gritted teeth. But I get up and I literally do it, and my standards will not slip. It doesn't matter if I'm feeling exhausted. It doesn't matter if I'm feeling tired. It doesn't matter if I've traveled through the night to get to a particular place. You will still, like if I have to do 5 1-hour talks in a day, you will still get the same amount of energy, the same amount of passion from me in the last 5 minutes of the 5th talk as you will in the first 5 minutes of the first talk. My standards don't slip. And that there is like an analogy to life. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter who you are. First and foremost, even if you're doing something that you love, you still have to do it through gritted teeth sometimes, because that is life. Even if the weight is weighing you down, if your legs still work, if your arms still work, if your mind still works, you can get up and you can push forward. It doesn't matter if you're not running or sprinting or taking big strides, even if it's baby steps. Even in the worst case scenario, you're stood still, you're still standing, you're not knocked down. So that there really took me into life boot camp, which then kind of, wind back 3 years ago, well, May the 20th, 2020, because of what I learned with my nephew, put me in good stead for what life was bringing me. Now I'm someone that's going out there helping people, bringing positivity and productivity to people, helping them in ways that I can, giving them wisdom. Like I'm getting messages off of people saying that I was thinking about taking my own life, but now I'm not. Now you've given me something to aim for. You've given me that hope. And if that's all you've got is hope, then that's all you need, because hope stands for hold on, pain ends. Hold on, pain ends. Just keep pushing forward. But it stood me in good stead for May the 20th, 2020, which is when the youngest of my 2 older sisters did actually take her own life during lockdown. So again, but listen, the devastation has come my way. The hurt and the pain has come my way. Like literally destroyed baby brother is absolutely heartbroken. But I quickly remembered, listen, I've been through Connor. I got through Connor. I got through then. Listen, I got through that then now, and I can do this now. So we have to remember any problems that are in our way, any problems that we face, remember that we've been through them before. You have to remember the giants that you've slayed in the past. Yes, respect the ones that are in front of you. Respect them, but don't fear them. Don't let them overwhelm you. It's not the first time you've got over this problem. It didn't destroy you back then, and it's not going to destroy you now. So with that mindset, because there's no magic about it. Like, I don't want people thinking that, yeah, I'm bulletproof and that nothing kind of affects me. With that mindset, I literally could take a phone call 3 days after my sister took her own life, was when a young 22-year-old single mum was literally phoned me out of desperation. It was going to be what she was going to do, because her partner died unexpectedly and suddenly 5 months prior, leaving a little 5-year-old girl there. And she's thinking that because of the pain that she was feeling because of her partner, the pain that she felt because she was letting her daughter down, that the world didn't want her anymore, that the world would be better off without her, that she was hurting people by being here. But because of the mindset that I had, just making that choice, trust me, it was not easy 3 days after my sister. It wasn't easy. I just had to go out and do it. I just had to force myself to do it. Put yourself in the game. If you turn up, 50%, that's 50% of the problem, like struck off the list there, is by literally turning up, stepping up to the plate. The rest is just that little bit of effort. But when I took that call, just literally by stepping up to the plate, by taking the call, listening to her, calmed her down, spoke reason, helped her afterwards, aftercare, and now she's doing amazing work in the mental health field. So could you imagine if I didn't have that mindset? Could you imagine if I didn't make that choice? I know that there are people that are still walking this earth because of the choices that I've made. Yeah. That there is me winning in life. It hasn't come easy, but trust me, it's worth it. Absolutely. And you can apply that. I'm not saying that you need a nephew to be killed through violence. I'm not saying that you need a sister to take their own life in order for you to resonate with this. You can apply this to anything and everything in life. It's all about the doing. It's all about the mindset. It's all about channeling what's happened to you and not thinking, right, why me? Why me? Why me? You take it, you channel it and say, come on then, try me, try me, try me.
Yeah, no, that's good advice and appreciate that. Bear with me one moment. Right, folks, back part two. Just had a little bit of a break there because, as you do, you know, we're not robots. Right, Jamie, well, I'm going to fire a few questions for you, and so it would be quite interesting to see what your answers would be. Now, if you had a choice, now you can have two. Now, usually, like I do ask my guests, maybe like one, but in this instance, you can choose both. You can have any two people that you would know or you don't know, you would have for dinner, whether they're passed away, whether they're dead or alive, and you can have two choices, two different people, and what would you say to them when you and why would you have dinner with them?
Very, very, very easy for me, my man. I would have my nephew and my sister back. I would like to relive old times. I would like to just talk family. I would like to talk just normality. Like there's many like figures from the past that I would love to speak to. And the choice is endless, but keeping it on a real, I would love to have dinner just simply with my sister and my nephew again, and just relive old times, talk about family times, just talk about the memories that we made, talk about just normal stuff, and I would be happy with that. And that I think there is a lesson to us all that we've got to start being happy with the simple things, with the things that, listen, the stuff that we've already got, because there's so many things that we wish for, but we forget the stuff that we already have, that we have now, was once a dream, right? So we're always wanting more, always wanting more. It's like we become bored of stuff. It's one of those things that I'm not saying that, you know, it's not okay to have goals, dreams, and ambitions. And the world tells you to get to the next level, get to the next level, get to the next level, which is good. Listen, improvement and development is a good thing. But don't be so focused on that you lose appreciation and gratitude for where you are, who you are, and what you've got. Like the biggest thing to kind of gauge yourself is, again, you know, going back to that comparison thing, like the comparison, whether conscious or subconscious, that we do with other people, that destroys us, that absolutely chips away at our soul, is just literally for us to how we have to gauge ourselves is, are we a better person than what we were yesterday, or 6 months ago, or a year ago, or 2 years ago, 5 years ago? Are we a better person? Are we more developed? Are we handling life better? Can we gauge things better? Are we wiser? Are we kinder? Are we more generous? You know, that's the stuff that truly counts. So yeah, I think just in a nutshell, my sister, my nephew, straight off of the bat. And yeah, just for the simple things, like I wouldn't want to be asking some you know, elaborate and extravagant figures from the past, like what was this like, what was that like. I would just want my nephew and my sister back and talk about old family times, because at the end of the day, you know, that's the stuff that truly matters, the simple stuff.
That's great. Yeah, no, because I've had some people where I have asked them, so it was quite interesting. Maybe obviously depending on sort of what value it would give back to them, because it would sort of be interesting how it would be if you were like in like Bill. Do you remember Bill and Ted? Excellent Journey. You know, where they went through historical sort of figures. You know,
and pick the Kid and Socrates and Beethoven and Sigmund Freud, and yeah, absolutely, like big figures of the past that can explain stuff and kind of give you so much wisdom and insight. Yeah, that you know, there's nothing wrong in that, and different people will choose different things. But for me, it would be the simple things. you know, to be able to relive that again. I mean, we would talk about pressing issues, we would talk about things, we would get into it deep, and you know, but different people would choose different people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and the other thing is as well, speaking of people, what would you have? Now you can have, you don't have to have one superpower, but if you have any powers, superpowers, what would they be, and why would you have them, and what would you use them for?
I think that the superpower to calm, reassure, and give peace. I think because in a nutshell, again, like so many people are struggling, so many people are just in the trenches. They're in the trenches emotionally, psychologically, physically, you know, mentally. Like they are literally in the trenches, and life is a more beautiful place when you're calm, when you're reassured, when you're rested, and you're at peace. It doesn't matter what's going on. If you're at peace and you're reassured and you're calm, that there is just the key to everything. Some people can literally have 50 million in the bank, but they're racked with anxiety, paranoia. They have no value, no self-worth. It's just that. But yet you could have £50 in the bank and you're at peace, you're calm, you're rested, you're reassured. So if I could give that to people, if I could do that in whichever way they needed, that would be my superpower, to just give them rest, reassurance, calmness, peace of mind, and to give them, you know, at the end of the day, a little bit of hope. And I know I'm actually doing that. I do that with what I do. But you know what? Seeing how people struggle and how people are absolutely in the trenches sometimes, like, well, a lot of the time it probably breaks my heart. And I wish I could do more. I wish I could help more. I wish I could be doing so much more for so many people. So yeah, if I had that superpower to just give people rest, reassurance, a little bit of hope and peace of mind, calmness, happy, you know, which will ultimately then have a knock-on effect to have joy and happiness. Yeah, I would love that superpower.
One of the other things as well, actually, I don't know how this comes across, because I think some people, because they're saying, I used to be quite prone to this, and this was before I started launching more of my videos and more interviews. What do you think it is from your perspective as from the outside looking in, from anyone out there, whether you're a man, woman, and even young children, you know, from coming from primary schools, even a bit younger, because mental health and mental health awareness, or even sort of our well-being, isn't just adults or the elderly. You know, children get affected too in so many ways. Like, one of the other things is that I'm not sure if the audience or even sort of mention this, because obviously I know you yourself over time, Jamie, because before you started going into the other sort of areas and projects that you're doing now, Jamie was actually part of a project with anti-bullying in past tense, and it's been a great help to myself as well. I've always gone to sort of go to look to some inspiration, some help from Jamie, and he's been absolutely brilliant about it in the past and even sort of present tense, and consulted me in so many different areas, which is why I've been sort of appreciative of why he's actually come onto the show as well. With Jamie as well, with the anti-bullying, what would you say, in not just the school children as well, you find that other people, even I've seen this as well a lot in society now, like you mentioned before, you're going to get all different kinds of behavioral sort of things thrown at you, even whether if it's not verbal, but even in other aspects, because you can feel it, you can sense it, you can see it, you know, it all happens around us, our surroundings, our environment. Now, I've noticed this, I think maybe even after a few videos or before, you get these looks, because obviously I put it on publicly. I don't just put it on just on the friends, you know, and this is obviously, that's what part of my show is, just we are only human, and I like to sort of give value, you know, and whether if it's going to, like going to give help to anybody that's out there for any particular topics. This is what my show's about. You know, it's not about having just me, because it's my show. Obviously, I'm using my show as a platform for those that have got personal experiences, personal sort of achievements, certain things that can sort of help inspire and give value. And, you know, whether if it's one person to, I don't know, maybe 1,000 to 100 people, and of all different ages, you know, because you never know what kind of topics are going to come onto my show. How do you feel in terms of that? How that would be in question of why people feel that you get mocked? Why do they get mocked? You know, in such a way where, because, like, for example, like yourself, you've probably had it where you've had people disagree with your TEDx talks. You mentioned that our discussion before. Why is it people where you're giving something positive that you mentioned, going back on that subject, no matter what you're doing, no matter how much you're trying or what you're doing, you're going to get someone from somewhere that's going to say something or do something. Oh, I hate that. Oh, you know, it's doing that. Oh, I can do this. I can do that. I said, well, firstly, I applaud you. Well done. You know, okay, you can go and do that. What's stopping you? Secondly, why do you have to hate the person or dislike? Hate's a hard word, but dislike the person for doing something. It's like, I'm not going to deny, I must confess this myself, actually. I've seen someone in the past, wonder if I could do that. And it wasn't jealousy to an extent where I disliked them. It was like, it was the competitive side of me, you know, that brought out, and I think sometimes on the flip side, some people might think that's a negative thing. Well, actually, it was a positive for me, because the way I was brought up, my stepfather was totally different to my mum. My mum would be like, "Oh, why are you like this? Why are you not telling him he should do this, he should do that?" Oh, but you know what? The secret of it is, what behind closed doors, I actually was quite emotional, got close to my stepdad before he passed away. You know, over time, he taught me a lot. And one of the things is, he said to me, look, I did this to G you up. It may not apply to everyone, but it used to say something to me. And because I wanted to not impress my dad, but to make him feel that, you know what, I'm your son. I'm here to do my best for you. Not to impress you, but to do my best for you. And that's all I ever wanted. And then I remember when he said to me, that's what you got to do, son. And that's what probably, no doubt, has kept me going, Jamie. You know, in the back of my mind, similar to you, there must be things that have kept you going, that has inspired you. Like, because Connor's not here and your sister's not here, you know, and other people before them and not even after them, you know, there must be something there that's kept you so centered and that strong. Because you do get sometimes where you feel that, oh, you know, I have to be strong, or you get told, oh, you have to be strong. Yeah, you don't have to be strong as in like, oh, you got no feelings and emotions in there where you feel broken. You have to be strong in the sense where the logic takes over and then you mix it in with the emotions, because sometimes it's hard because we're not like the Matrix, you know, where we inserted emotions of how we should feel, you know, where we're controlled, you know, like a computer game. We are only human as what we should feel, because we're, like you said, when you fail, it's not, when you feel that we're failing or people consider it as a failure, it's more falling forward rather than falling sideways or like on your face. You're actually falling forward, because a lot of people you have to approach it in a way depending on who you're talking to, because a lot of people, you have to customize that with it. It's no one hat fits all, you know, when you're coaching, because no doubt you probably get that a lot, you know, where you've got a lot of people that go, oh, Jamie, you know, can you do the same thing for me? Well, yeah, you can give results and help get them to the results that they want, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's going to customize to the same thing as what you've applied to the last person or person afterwards. You know, how has that been for you, you know, through your journey when you've had to coach certain people, you know, because not every particular sort of topic that you might come across that I've asked you, you know, with your coaching, is going to be one hat fits all. You know, how has that been for you, you know, when on your coaching journey?
Well, it's all about adaptability. It's all about kind of seeing someone for who they are, and literally investing enough time to see what their needs are, who they are, like what makes them tick, like where has this problem come from, how severe is the problem, looking at their background, seeing what's brought this on. Like there's so many things like involved before you come to a conclusion about the best way to kind of help this person. But I know there isn't a one hat fits all, but there is a lot of core teachings, core lessons,
Yes.
or kind of logic that applies to people no matter what. So like people are very, very complex, and people are very kind of, listen, like we're very, very strange creatures. And it's kind of going back to the question that you asked right at the start when you started speaking, as to why people mock and why people bring others down. It's just because it's what people do. But first and foremost, what you're doing is you are reminding them that they are capable of doing it as well. And it's exactly what you said, Phil, like when someone said, oh, well, I can do that. And like you said to them, yeah, good on you. Like go out and do it. But this is the thing, is a lot of people don't want to do it. And therein lies the answer for so much. There's a massive element of jealousy, envy, but an even bigger element of laziness. There's a massive element of laziness. People will say that they can do something, that they will do something, that they want to get out of the trench that they're in, that they want to develop, that they want to improve, that they want to start raising levels. They want to become a better version of themselves. They want to evolve. But when it comes down to it, this is what I say to people, is when I go out and talk to them, like I say, this may sound silly coming from a professional public speaker, but talk is cheap. I will only talk about stuff that I can back up with evidence. Like I will only talk about things that I can show proof of what I've done and how I've overcome it. And listen, that the evidence don't lie. Your actions will always speak louder than your words. So therein lies the problem with so much. There is a flat out laziness, lack of motivation to do things like you wouldn't believe. And that lower natural resilience is just massive at the moment. It's massive. People, like, I'm not saying that people aren't in the trenches, right? We are dealing with a mental health problem like you can't even imagine. And trust me, it's getting worse. But there are still two sides to that mental health. There are the people that are absolutely, genuinely, legitimately in the trenches. And then you've got others where it just seems to be an easy way out as well. To pull the mental health card, listen, and I'm not being nasty, but people are, and they become overwhelmed for the smallest of things. When I look back, right, I take a lot of inspiration from my nan and my granddad, my great nan, my great granddad, my mum. Like, listen, the old school resilience. Like, listen, these people didn't know whether a German bomber was going to drop bombs on them, right? At some point, they didn't know when their next food was going to be available because the rations had run out, right? But they had never been more together, and it was one of those that they would have gone through problems. They would have had to have been challenged and tested until like to the highest degree, and they did not have the resources that we have around today. Right? You can go onto social media. I know I said it's a toxic place, but you've got an absolute abundance of groups that you can join, that you can speak to people, that you can get advice from, that you can get guidance from, that you can get wisdom from, right? You can speak to people. Listen, I will say that the mental health thing, right, the mental health system and the structure, the organizations, they are failing people like you would not believe. But I'm also saying that we are spoiled as well with what we've got. Our nans and granddads didn't have that. Our nans and granddads were dealing with that stigma 100 times worse, of like, if you speak out, or if you show a bit of weakness, then you would be shunned, that you would be frowned upon. So you couldn't say anything. What did they do? They literally dug their heels in, they gritted their teeth, pulled their sleeves up, rolled them up, and they carried on. Nowadays, people are getting overwhelmed because some place hasn't got Wi-Fi. It's like the color drains from their face. Oh, how am I going to get through this? How am I going to kind of make it this test and this challenge? People are not turning up for work because they've got a sore throat. It's like, listen, like, no, like this isn't right. This isn't good. This isn't right. And it is showing me that in so many different ways. Listen, there's just a lazy mindset there. People get overwhelmed for the smallest of things. They get overwhelmed for the smallest of things that my nan and granddad would have knocked out the park. That they would have just, what's that? What is that? It's like just a walk in the park. It's a breeze. Oh. So I am saying that there is a massive problem, but there's also a massive element of laziness, of just low natural resilience, just overwhelm. It's easy to say, and it's easy to play that card. But listen, if I had a nephew that was killed through violence, if I've got a sister that took her own life, if I've got two failed marriages, divorces, if I've got financial ruin around my neck, if I've got me being on my own around my family, me co-parenting, like literally knocking co-parenting out the park, it's like I have never, ever wavered. When my marriage broke down just over 3 years ago, I have never wavered with time with my children. Never, ever wavered. I've always picked them up, spent time with them, done amazing things with them. And that's when I've been going through heartbreak myself. So that's when I haven't been well. That's when I've been exhausted. That's when I've been tired. So imagine if we had that mindset. I can't do this because I've got a sore throat. Because I feel a bit ill. I feel a bit, and it's like, no, come on now. So yeah, we are dealing with both severe struggles, severe, like trench walking, like people are walking through the trenches, like in so many different ways, and we have to be there for them, and we have to help them out, because there is some sadistic, like insidious, evil behavior going on, and there is just sadistic, there's demonic, there's insidious problems that are out there. But like I say, there's also that little bit of like, listen, you need a little bit of a reality check, because there are people that are walking, and listen, they're no more capable than you. Do you know what I mean? It's just you're making that choice to be overwhelmed. You're making that choice not to put one foot in front of each other and just get through it. That it's the key. And that there is the key to success in life, Phil, right? And I know success to different people, like success will mean different things to different people.
Yes.
Some people, it will be the house in which you live in, the car you drive, how much money you've got in the bank, and what clothes you wear. Other people's success in life is them getting out of bed, right, facing the day and literally living another day. That there is a success, right? So listen, success is a success. But no matter what you do in life, listen, the success, the key to success is this, is you will have to do it when you don't feel like doing it. That's it. And you know what? You know, when you tell people that, listen, you have to do stuff when you are tired, when you're exhausted, when life is misbehaving, people are mocking you, people have let you down, they've stabbed you in the back, people have thrown you under the bus, like there's tests and challenges coming at you left, right, and center, and you've still got to do it. You still got to do it. There, you have to do it when you don't feel like doing it. There, right there is the key to success. I'm sorry I can't sugarcoat it. I'm sorry I can't give it any better than that. But you know, when you tell people, like, they get all excited, like when you say, listen, I've got the keys to success for you. I've got the key to success. You have to do it when you don't feel like doing it. When you feel like pulling that duvet over you and staying there for the day, what's that going to achieve? I know you're going through hell. I know you feel tired. I know you feel exhausted, but guess what? Your legs still work, your arms still work, and your mind still works. You can. That duvet does not weigh 5 tons, and it's not weighing you down. You can push it back, and you can put your feet on the floor, and you can literally put one foot in front of the other and face the day. You can. But you will have to do it when you don't feel like doing it. If you want to lose weight, yes, you feel tired and exhausted and you're not able to eat your favorite foods. But guess what? Listen, if you want to lose weight, you'll have to do it when you don't feel like doing it. You'll have to go to the gym when you don't feel like doing it. Like if you want to improve yourself and develop yourself and kind of make a success of yourself and your business. Listen, there will be times when you're exhausted, when you're down, when life has thrown you tests and challenges. You'll have to do it when you don't feel like doing it. There are people that you love that are being killed. There are people that you are suffering from grief. And it's like missing them just absolutely breaks your heart. But you have to get up and face the day. You have to get up and pay the ultimate respect to them, which is doing something, which is literally living life that they would love to do, that they haven't got that luxury anymore. So guess what? Facing the day, you'll have to do it when you don't feel like doing it. So I've given like 4 completely different scenarios and it applies the same. So there's the thing, like when I say that there's core lessons, that there's core teachings, that there's core logic, that there's core wisdom that runs through everything, then that's an example right there. Because to me, it doesn't matter whether I'm speaking to school pupils, prisoners, or Premiership sports players. Like there's so much that I say that resonates with them all. Why? Because we're human beings and we're all in this journey called life together. So that there, yeah, like I say, you have to do it when you don't feel like doing it. Sorry, I can't kind of dress it up any better than that.
With the other topics as well, we mentioned about now it's been part of the stigma apart from mental health, because I know there's a lot of people before, even now with my middle son, Jasper. I've mentioned this before on Facebook because I think it's come on there. It's great. Got some responses in there. I had two couples direct message me in regards to some help and maybe some advice, which I'm going to put on. Well, they were put on recently, but I am going to do some more in regards to the autism awareness as well. And you know this is sort of a bit of a touchy subject for some people, because I know in the past and even sort of present, it's been a stigma for some others, because I know through generations and through time, it's been misperceived as a behavioural thing for children and adults alike of all ages, because some have either, number one, been misdiagnosed, 2, haven't been diagnosed yet, and when they are, people treat it differently. And on this subject, what's your take on this in terms of that? Because I know you've got some background on this and when the autism as well, because I know there was something in regards to you and I talking about it before, behind the scenes, folks. So even now, presently with Paddy McGuinness and his partner and his partner and his children at the time when the news came out of the publicity in regards to autism, because they were diagnosed, it was his children, and then they found out his wife at the time that he was with were diagnosed with it. What's your take on the subject? Because I know it's also been a stigma through the generations, as well as mental health and awareness. Jamie, what do you take? What's your take on this?
Well, it's something that's very, it's close to me. It's close to my heart, right? It's something that resonates with me, because at the end of the day, like when my second marriage broke up, it made me question myself as a person. It made me question myself as a human being, and really kind of analyze myself and look at certain things. And it kind of led me to make a decision that I was going going to be analyzed, right, and I was going to be tested for certain things. And you know, I went up to Liverpool to the ADHD Foundation, and through tests and analysis, you know, I was diagnosed with ADHD, mild OCD, mild autism as well. So it answered a lot of questions. And you know, instead of dwelling on that, you know, I was happy with that it happened, that it literally answered questions. I was happy with that. I was at peace with that I knew that I wasn't behaving in a certain way or reacted to things in a certain way because I'm a bad person. It was because I was literally fighting an invisible enemy, like an opponent. But instead of dwelling on it, you know, what I did was 2 weeks after getting that diagnosis, I was in a primary school telling the kids about their superpowers. Like, listen, you're different. That's who you are. Listen, there's nothing wrong with you. You're just different. And when you're different in this world, you can make a difference in this world. And then I literally showed them people, like doing my research about other people that have got these superpowers. And I was literally like up on a screen, like showing them like Usain Bolt and Michael Phelps. Like, so we're talking the fastest man on the planet. We're talking the greatest Olympian of all time, Richard Branson, Sylvester Stallone, will.i.am, Justin Timberlake. Listen, all these people, like these incredible people that have done incredible things. Like I was saying, listen, that they've got these superpowers. So don't think that it's going to hamper you. If you channel it in the right way, then it's going to help you. So yeah, there's no doubt that my ADHD makes me the speaker that I am, that can travel through the night, that can literally do 5 1-hour talks in a day just straight off of the bat, or 4 days straight. So in 4 days, I do 20 1-hour talks. Listen, I can do it, but you have to look at it that this neurological condition kind of takes its toll on you as well. Like, it mentally fatigues you, so it physically fatigues you. So it's like it's like a double-edged sword. So, but the biggest thing is it's like I can be in the position that I am, like up in front of people, doing what it is that I'm doing, and they will know that I have neurological conditions, that I have these challenges, and it shows them that, listen, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because trust me, like when I go and do what it is that I do, I'm very, very much an alpha male, and that's why I've got into like verbal conflicts and confrontations, like with young offenders and prisoners and stuff. And listen, some of the best feedback that I've ever had is like someone like this young offender that said to me, for the first 10 minutes, I wanted to smash your face in. He said, but from about minute 11 after that, he said, it was like you was talking to me. Like I had to hold my hands up, and it's like we were friends after that. But so I'm very, very much an alpha male. By doing what it is that I'm doing, and the way that I speak, and the way that I hold myself, and the way that I conduct myself. So when people can see someone that's an alpha male that can have these neurological conditions, it then all of a sudden just naturally takes the heat off of others. But yeah, it shouldn't be, again, you shouldn't be ashamed of it. You shouldn't be quiet about it. There is so many, unfortunately, that have gone under the radar. I mean, I was one of them. I mean, I'm kind of 44 now, so I got diagnosed when I was 41. But throughout those years, like, I knew I was different. I knew there was something like unique about me, but in good ways, bad ways, and like indifferent. So, you know, when I got the diagnosis, it instantly answered everything to me. And for the first time in 41 years, it was like I met myself for the first time. And I like myself. And I'd even go as far as to say that I love myself, because I know what I'm about. And it's just given me even more of like a lift, even more encouragement, because not only am I doing what it is that I'm doing from going through all the stuff that I've been doing, which is good anyway, which is a great achievement anyway, but I've done with an invisible opponent, an invisible enemy there as well. So it's just given me an extra pat on the back that I've done this regardless. But there's nothing special about me. Like I know I spoke to these kids about superpowers, but I ain't a superhero. Like, I haven't got an S on my chest. I don't wear a cape, and I certainly don't wear my pants outside my trousers. So it's like, it's one of them.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing special about me. So if I can do it, then so can everyone else. So yeah, it's just we can't look at it through through judgmental like eyes anymore. This is the real thing. It's out there. People have these challenges, but if you harness it and channel it in the right way, these things that can hurt you can actually help you. These things that can hinder you can actually help you get to where it is you want to go and become who it is you want to become. But again, it's just all about how you look at stuff.
No, I appreciate that, Jamie. How do you feel in terms of, because I remember I've gone through quite a number of sort of life experiences with different jobs in the past. Now, a lot of people tend to feel when they ask me, how do I engage with these people? Because, I used to sell, I remember one of my first sort of full-time sales job that I had, that I was with for quite some time. And it was a company called Millets. That was time, Millets in the outdoor store. There's some still about in there, and there was some that went through administration. Now, I remember when I had this other employee that was working alongside me. They couldn't believe it. There was, I think it was another, it was a lady and another sort of lady, I think of senior position above herself. And they said to me, how do you do it, Phil? How do you sell these things? And I said, well, look, number one, I'm not selling it to the point of where I'm upselling it to the point of where I know that they don't want it. I'm only giving them something that I know that potentially they may need. I'm not saying, well, look, you have to have this mug. Why? Because it's orange. No, you have to give them a reason for why they need it. There's a use for it. Well, because with this mug, you can hold your coffee and you're drinking it. Because without this, you won't be able to drink it, securely. Otherwise, you'd have to scoop it with your hand from the tap. So that's why it's essential. So you have to give them a reason for it, and that's what I tried to explain. And this is it. I'm forever trying to explain something like that. And I think it's also now that when people feel that they're being forced to ask, there's so many jobs where people feel that they have to try so hard to convince. It's about convincing people. Now, sometimes you don't even need to, as long as you're there. And I feel that even like yourself, when you go there, I think us as a society, we're trying too hard to try and please and expect people to give them something that they don't want, because why would you, it's odd, isn't it? Why would you be in that position to give something they don't want? They're obviously there for a reason, because they do want it. But at the same time, there's also a product where people feel like a mobile phone, right? Or a certain product that they may potentially want. But why would you need it? Like, there was a lady that was really helpful, actually. She all she did was ask, and I actually did need it for my son's birthday toy. A toy that I bought for him for his birthday. And she said, "Oh, would you need some batteries?" I said, "Oh, funny you should say that. I had that on my mind, but thank you for letting me know. It wasn't as if it was forced upon me, but all she did was ask. It wasn't like, oh, you have to have this battery. You have these batteries. You have to have them." And it gets to the point where it gets really silly, Jamie. Have you not noticed that? Where I think sometimes in society you witness things where certain things you feel that they have to force it upon you. It's the same with anything. You shouldn't really have to have something feel, you have to feel that you're forced to do it, in that aspect. But you should also have the freedom of choice, be able to say, well, look, actually, no, that's not acceptable. It's the same as all the topics that we mentioned, and actually have a positive outlook in it. Because, with the things at the moment, I was a bit hesitant to mention it, but I'm not really, to be honest with you. The 80% with the energy thing now, you know, that's going to affect a lot of people as well, you know, regardless of what status they're in. And I'm sure that will affect them, you know, because you've got people out there where they think 80%, that's 80% of more than what I usually would pay for, you know, and no doubt that's going to affect them in emotionally, you know, financially and other aspects, because you get people now where they feel like they're struggling in certain areas. You know, how would you feel in that of what you've witnessed now? You know, it must affect them. You probably hear a lot about it now, you know, how it's affecting them. You think, oh my goodness, the cost of living.
Yeah, and it's, again, you know, there's things that you have no control over. It's just how you kind of deal with it. And I know that tests and challenges come in many, many different severities, you know. And you talk about people wanting things and you having to justify or give a reason as to why they might want something. Again, because you're dealing with very, very complex creatures, and like how they think, how they act, how they behave, how they react, it's one of those that you have to kind of, yes, take each person on a person by person basis with different characteristics and personality traits, but know that those core elements that run through it is that so many people, well, I know we're all human, but so many are just like one another. So a lot of people with, yes, you have to give them something that they necessarily don't want, but also that on the other side of the coin, there's so many times that people want the wrong things. A lot of the time it's the easier option. It's the more straightforward option. It's the more instant option.
Yeah.
It's the less work option, the less effort option. And they want the wrong things. Because I will give you an example. Let's say, for instance, I'm doing a well-being seminar on one side of the road, right? And I'm talking about resilience. I'm talking about positive mindset, how to overcome adversity, how you turn your pain into power, how to handle grief, right? And that there was £10 a ticket, right? And that's the whole day from 10 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon, early evening. And you was on the other side of the road, again, from 10 until 5, charging £500 a ticket, telling people how they can put an extra zero on the end of their bank balance each month, or how they can get an extra 2 zeros on the end of their bank balance at the end of each year, and how they can have loads of money and all that. And you were charging £500 a ticket, your seminar would be packed. Mine would be struggling for attendees. It would be struggling because people want the wrong thing sometimes. And it's like, you do realize that there is like the foundation of what everything's about. No matter what comes your way, if you're resilient, if you've got a strong mindset, if you're willing to take the pain, embrace it and turn it into power, like, you're going to get through it. You're going to get through it, whether it is sitting in a freezing cold house, whether it is having to ration out food and just eat pasta for a little while. Listen, it can be done. It can be done, because that seminar telling you to put extra couple of zeros on the end of your bank account, listen, it didn't work out, did it? Didn't work out. It was a pipe dream. Why? Because so many people, what they'll do is, like, they're so emotionally based that they will go and listen to something, they will hear something, and then it's like, yeah, that's it. I'm going to go and take on the world, and that's it. Oh, that's me. This, like, and it's that feel-good factor. It's that moon period. Give it another couple of days when life has thrown its tests and its challenges at you. You go back home. You might get a flat tire in your car. You might come home to be greeted by a bill that you never expected. Some unexpected money's been taken out of your bank account. Someone's hurt. One of your kids is ill. All that. After a couple of days of that, that's it. You're back to square one again. You're back to square one again. You're not going to want to put in the effort to put an extra couple of zeros on your bank account. It's gone. It's gone. Only the strong carry on. Only the resilient will carry on. Only the one with a strong mindset will carry on. Only the one with that hunger, with that strength, with that willingness, with the want to put in effort, they will carry on. Well, that's what I tried to teach you in my seminar, but you didn't want to know. You wanted this one for the quick fix. So that's what you're dealing with, like wants. What I want to give to people, some people might not resonate with or think that they need. They may think that people like me is a luxury and not a necessity. But trust me, the world is only going to get more challenging and more savage and severe. It is on a regular basis, and only the strong will get through. And like I say, there's nothing special about me. Like but I mean, I'm not doing it like whistling and singing. I'm not skipping through this thing called life. But guess what? I'm up there with the best. Like I'm up there with the best with what I do. And I'm very, very proud that even though I have to do it sometimes with a very heavy heart, through gritted teeth, when I'm exhausted, when I really don't want to, I could think of 101 other things that I'd rather be doing, even though it's something that I'm passionate about and that I was born to do. And it's like me fulfilling my destiny. Like people think to themselves, as soon as I get a job, like if I was doing a job where I was passionate about it and it was like fulfilling my destiny and it's like something that I was born to do, every day would be a holiday. No, it's not. It's not. Because then when life brings its tests and its trials, it brings reality to you. Boom, it knocks you back and it's like, oh, where did that come from? I thought this was going to be the end of all my problems. And I thought this was going to be the answer to my prayers. And this isn't supposed to happen. Oh, my goodness, it's knocked me over. Whereas I know, like I'm realistic enough to say, listen, this is going to happen. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but I know this is going to happen. So when it does happen, yeah, it might hit me and knock me back, but it doesn't knock me over. So, yeah, we are dealing with very, very complex people. What they want may not be what, I say what people need, not what they want. You know, I'm not talking about stuff and I'm not going to say stuff what people want to hear, but it's what they need to know.
What do you think in terms of, because I spoke to, I'm not sure if you're aware of a lady that I spoke to in one of my talks. She may have been part of this sort of speakers sort of platform and even the sort of arena and even speakers community, Karina Stringer. Now, I know no doubt you'd probably agree to this as well. Do you feel that schools, colleges, and even workplaces should have some sort of workshops, not regarding just mental health and all the other areas, apart from like autism and stuff like that, and how to deal with it at work? But do you feel that it should be focused also mindset? So it helps people more, not just in the workplace, but in more other areas of society? Because, mindset, I think a lot of people tend to feel that it's misperceived as something that you can just read in a book or listen to, a quick fix, isn't it? Have you not noticed that, where it's misperceived as, oh, let's go and get a self-help book, we'll read that, and then afterwards we'll just put it back in the drawer. As I've spoken this to a close friend, like I've spoke to sort of behind the scenes of when it wasn't recording, you spoke to before, one of my friend Dolly's, who and Meg, when they video bombed us before we put the recording on. So this is unedited stuff, so this would be great, even discussing this. But yeah, what would you say in that, Jamie? In the mindset, do you think, because I've discussed this with Karina, and I think even with yourself, it would be ideal and it would be a great thing to encourage that, because I know I've looked at schools where they're starting doing things with mental health and well-being and other areas and stuff like that, but the touching things, issues of how they logically see things, because I don't think, they've got all this entrepreneurial thing that they've started now, entrepreneurship with colleges and stuff like that, what they never had, and all the other subjects that they hadn't created yet. Because, have you noticed that, okay, we've had the basic things that you have in the educational curriculum, sort of, and even with universities, and colleges, they don't have mindset, anything to do with that, because it's so hard I think for some people to see it from so many different angles. It's a very complex subject, but it's also a good one as a starter, for people to think that, the hard things, like you mentioned, when you get up in the morning, some people, one of the hardest things that they do is they have a shower and brush their teeth, and they get out of bed. But then even having to tackle with the first thing that they do before they have a coffee or a cup of tea in the morning, they get their mind round with all these different ways of having to tackle the day, because you get these feelings, you don't know where they come from. It could be something manifested from inside or outside sort of forces, where they had a conversation with someone and it's in the back of their mind, it's going round in their head, and mindset thing. What do you feel in terms of that, how important that would be, a great value for youngsters now, as a starter, a mindset workshop? What do you think of that?
Absolutely. Needed 100%. So much emphasis is put on academia and not enough emphasis is put on kind of self-development and kind of like evolving in ourselves and well-being. And this is the thing, but this isn't just about kids. Like this is well, because it's kind of bled into our society, it's bled into our psyche, it's bled into our culture and how we think and what we do. Because like it's interesting that you brought up like about the self-help books and stuff like that, and so many people will claim to be on a self-development journey. Listen, I've kind of bought this book, and what happens is they read it from cover to cover, they close up the book, nothing changes after 2 weeks, and they think, oh, well, that worked. The answer is to go and buy another book, and then another, and then another book, and another book, right? And they're just doing exactly the same thing, but they're not buying the actions that are needed from the advice that's given in the book. And they're not actually into self-development. What they're into is shelf development. They have to go and reinforce the shelf to take the weight of the books for the library that they've got, right? So see the library that's in front of them, and they themselves, they haven't changed a single bit. So they haven't applied the action that's needed to actually take the advice. Like a lot of people, right? They for like books that they've bought in the past, they do not have to go and buy another single book in their life. What I challenge people to do is to go and read those books again, but just read half a chapter, maybe even a page, maybe even a paragraph or a sentence. Literally take the advice, what it says in one sentence, and work on that for a week and see how things change. And then read another sentence or another paragraph or another page, and then work on that for a week and see how things change. Like, take it step by step. But some people just think, oh, look, if I read this book kind of from cover to cover, and that's all I've got to do, and things will change for me. Like, how delusional is that? Like, how arrogant is that to think that that's the case? No, you listen, there is advice that's given, written advice, like I give verbal advice, but it's up to you to kind of take that advice and apply it. And I can remind you time and time again, but it might be like the 15th time of me saying the same thing that you might get it and think, oh yeah, right, oh okay, now I get it. And it's like, well, so different to what I've told you back then. But I'm just glad you joined the party. Better late than never. But with all what's going on, it's not just kids. It's literally adults. And the mindset thing is so important. It's so needed. But like I say, listen, the whole educational system is messed up. It is just based on 19th century industrialism. It's never changed. Listen, the school curriculum, the educational system is there just literally to make little college professors. That's it. It doesn't, listen, no matter where you go in the world, there is a hierarchy of subjects, English and maths and science, and then right down the bottom, you've got the arts. And even within the arts, there's a hierarchy. Music is taken more seriously than drama and dance. But who's to say that some of the most expressive, the most life-changing people who haven't got a clue about science, haven't got a clue about maths, are some of the greatest dancers that have ever, that could ever be. But we're told that, yeah, you'll never make it as a dancer. Music you might do, but listen, concentrate on maths, concentrate on English, concentrate on science, get that kind of education, and that is what's going to serve you well in the future. No, it's not the case. So that is the case. That hierarchy there is the case the world over. Doesn't matter where you go. So it's a very, very outdated system. So, the whole thing needs to be shook up a bit, and there needs to be things implemented and applied within that education system that truly benefits human beings. Because at the moment, it's just pumping out little college professors like little robots, one after the other, and you have to really fight to find yourself. Like it's literally a case of, listen, we're all born with creativity. It's like the school system, the education system knocks it out of us a lot of the time. So it's a real battle for a lot of people. But stuff like that to do with resilience, mindset, reality of life, what's needed, what's required of you, the effort that you've got to put in, what you have to come back from, what you have to embrace, what you have to apply, how you view things, how you need to turn the negative into a positive. Listen, all that kind of stuff will literally serve you well, and that's all you'll need throughout life, because you apply that in any given situation, whether it's a lockdown during a virus pandemic, whether it's these energy bills, whether it's in your relationship, whether it's literally in your business. If you apply all that resilience and willingness and effort, and everything will work out. It might not be easy, but in the end, it will be worth it, and it applies to everything.
You know what? I'd love to be able to be one of those sort of people where it's not more of a go-to, it's more of one of the people that have actually mentioned something about starting like a mindset thing. And now I've mentioned this before to family and friends and sort of past and present sort of people. Every time I come up with something, it's really strange because you have to be careful what you verbalize. It's like in The Secret when they mentioned that people don't notice that what we say can actually affect us a lot, because our words and our feelings, our emotions, we project that, what we feel and what we say. It's like in our heads, whatever we're saying or feeling that you throw out there, we think, oh, why did I do that? Why did that happen to me? Why did this happen to me? And all of this. And that's why, stress, mental health, well-being, our mindset, it affects us because we're absorbing of that, rather than sort of that in the emotional aspect, in the logic. Sometimes we forget what the logic is to be able to sort of, because we're so emotionally caught up in it, wrapped in it, all the toxicity and all the rubbish and everything like that. We forget to focus on what's important because we get distracted by external factors, other areas, within our environment. So rather than like focusing on what we should be doing, all of a sudden we're thinking, oh, hang on a minute. Oh yeah, I have to please this person. I have to impress this person. I have to do this. And then you forget about yourself, your own self well-being, your self-worth, who you are, self-care, and like you're saying, you have to love. When people say, oh, love yourself, no, it doesn't mean in a narcissistic way you have to love yourself. Love yourself as in take care, self-care, look after yourself, whether if you're a man, woman, or child.
Treat yourself how you would treat a best friend if they came to you with a problem. Speak to yourself how you would speak to a best friend if they came to you with a concern, or if they were struggling. What would you say to your best friend? What would you say to a family member that you love? That's what you have to say to yourself as well. And you're right, with what we say and how we feel, it carries a lot of weight. But also, listen, we can be very, very aware of what we do and hold up our side of the bargain by saying positive things, feeling good, you know, being on the right frequency, having the right energy, having the right vibe. But this is the deal sealer, right? This is the thing, right? This is like hitting the nail on the head right here. You have to be careful. Like, even though, right, we're saying it good and like the energy's up and the levels there, the crux of it is you have to be careful who you share that goodness with, because it doesn't, whether you say it in a positive and a productive way and you're saying stuff in a well-meaning way and your energy's good and your vibe's good, if you share it with the wrong person, man, they will want to see that dream or that idea crumble, because there's a mixture. There's a mixture of things, maybe old ingrained conditioned like behavior and mindset and thought patterns that person's had, the way that they act, the way that they behave. Also, there may be thrown in like a little bit of jealousy, a little bit of envy. But also, like I've said before, they do not want to be reminded by you, by you improving yourself or having an idea and it working. They don't want to be reminded that they're capable of exactly the same thing, but they're just too lazy to do it. Like, the word laziness coming up again. They don't want to put in the effort. They don't. There's no willingness. They don't want to be shown what's possible. Because when you have that, when you're shown what's possible, right? When you're shown what can be achieved, when you're shown what you are capable of, it's up to you to do it. But with that, if you achieve it, with that comes responsibility. Loads of people don't want responsibility, so they won't ever try it. They won't ever try it, but they also don't want to see other people trying it, because it'll remind them that they're not trying it and that they're not achieving what it is they're capable of achieving as well. So there's so much that's ingrained in it. So literally, be careful with who you share. Be careful who you share your hopes and your goals with, and your fantastic ideas. Be careful. If anything, stay quiet. Just go about your business. Let your actions speak louder than your words. Share it with no one. Work in silence. Work behind the scenes. And literally, your results will start speaking for themselves. You don't even have to tell people. You don't even have to tell people like what your dream is, because now you're living it.
Yeah, I'm doing it now with you.
Speaking for themselves.
I'm doing it now with you, Jamie. It's ironic because I remember, just at the audience, to throw it out there, the first ever one that I did with my dear friend on the first episode of Pilot One, so just to let everyone know out there, Low Key Ballers, owner of the basketball apparel, his own branding of basketball apparel, and his name's called Io, and absolutely amazing, because, you know, he's not what you would call the conventional basketball player. He's a big guy, you know, because a lot of people tend to think big guy, whether you're a small guy, whether you're a tall guy, whether you're a skinny guy, you know, it's not like one of those sort of very athletical shaped guys. He's a big guy, but he can shoot like nobody's business. And then when I was interviewing him, he said to me, Phil, you got to do it. You've got to do this. Because we were sat down, if you look back, you know, even after this one day, when you get time to, Jamie, it's amazing, because we were having discussions like we are now, and even behind closed doors, as this is sort of being pre-recorded. We were out in Nando's having a chat like you and I now, you know, and he said, oh, I can see this now in about a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, this just booming, you know, you speaking to different people for different reasons, for different values. And I'm sure, you know, you will go far with it. You know, it may not boom just like that, how you want it to be straight away, but, you know, in good time, it will reach out and filter out to those people that will need to hear it, because this is, I think that's probably what your message is. That's what you're doing your best to. And I didn't know how to go about it first, because I think part of me was not taking the first step, and how, where, and when. It was more of, oh, it was so overwhelming, and I was so excited about my talk, how I'm going about it, what I should talk about, when I should talk about it, and, you know, trying to think too much of, like, in my head, or too much of being a perfectionist when, you know, like we're talking now, you know, this is a chilled, relaxed, unedited sort of talk, which I prefer because it's raw, it's truth, it's nothing all, it's not like polished to the point of where it should be like you would see the news, you know, behind closed doors. You know, I like seeing the bloopers, hearing about the funny stuff, the real stuff, what happens when the mic gets turned off.
This more because this is real life, so people can connect with it more, they resonate with it more, because that's what people like seeing, is realness. So thank goodness you took that step to actually do it, because so many people, like, listen, you don't have to be perfect in order to start, but you have to start in order to work towards becoming perfect at what you do. So, you know, that's where a lot of people stumble. That's where a lot of people kind of fall, and that's where a lot of people kind of fail, is that they won't take that first step. Even they won't even kind of step into the arena. And like I say again, like, go and read that poem, The Man in the Arena. It's incredible, because, like I say, it depicts this man who is brave enough to step out there into the spotlight and do things, and there's other people mocking him, but those are the people that haven't got the bravery to do what it is that they do, and they will never ever improve, they will never evolve, they will never kind of develop in any shape, way or form. Only the man in the arena will. So, you know, that's what you've done, is by doing this, you have stepped into the arena. There will be people that are telling you you're wrong for doing it. There will be people telling you that you're bad. Oh, you should be more professional, or you should have a better standard of camera, or you should have this. You should. No, listen, everybody starts off somewhere, and you just get better and better and better at it. So, yeah, don't let anyone discourage you, my man. Like, don't let anyone put you off. Just know that, you know, again, be very, very proud of yourself that you've stepped into the arena and you've started this, because it will be helping people. You've already helped people. You will help people in the present, and you will help people in the future. So you've just got to keep on going, and don't let those who are afraid, that are too cowardly, that are too lazy to step into the arena, have any kind of opinion on what it is that you're doing. And don't let them have any kind of influence over your mental, emotional, psychological, or physical well-being. Don't dare give them that power, you know.
The other thing is, I'd like to mention, it's quite funny during this discussion, is that I know a lot of people, when they see this content, I think it's down to us whether we can reveal certain information, whether if we're getting paid to do this or not. And I think it's down to me and yourself. It's none of anybody else's business whether if I'm getting paid to do this or not, because one of the good reasons of why I'm doing it is not because I'm getting paid for it or I'm not getting paid for it. It's because I'm passionate about it and I love doing it. Because I remember the first few that I was done of this for the first season and the first few episodes of my show here, the Carew Show, is that I remember I was speaking to my mum about this and a few other people. They said, "Oh, this is be ready for it. You're gonna hear my mum's Filipino accent." Oh, she goes, "Oh, Philip, I don't care what you do, Philip, as long as you're making money." And I thought, "Oh, great, thanks, mum." I said, "Well, okay, yeah, I'm making money because, you know, I like a bit of comedy as well. Because I'd like to mention him on there. There's a Filipino American guy called Joe Coy, and I couldn't believe it. It's like I've become a fan of his, and, you know, I was looking into sort of, because I feel that there's a little bit of part of myself that I can see a tiny fraction of it that reminds me of myself, where I like to make people laugh. Now, instead of me having it as a job, I like to do it on a daily basis with other people that I know, but without having to get paid for it. I don't be a comedian, but obviously there will be certain situations where I like to be fun loving and having a laugh. But I think what inspired me was also seeing another part of that in introducing that into your life, a bit of a laugh. I think because when we take things too seriously, which is why I like doing this like I'm doing now. It's chilled and relaxed. We get too much of these formalities, right? How we should look. Oh, we can't do that. You know, he looks too cheap and tacky for this video to watch. You know, why has he got this? He looks more professional if you have sparkling, glittery things surrounded your frame with what you've got. When I'm looking at you now, why are you not wearing these Ray-Ban sunglasses that cost £500? And why are you not wearing a suit and a tie when you're chatting to each other? Why are you both one of you wearing your baseball cap backwards? And you know, and all that malarkey. You know, all these sort of expectations, you know, of certain parts of what some parts of society would expect us to be, whereas actually, why should we? You know, it's more of people think, oh, I can actually relate to that.
It's all about being who you are, and when you stand up and you kind of make the statement of, listen, I'm here and being who I am, you then have no idea the relief that you give to so many people, because they're afraid to be themselves in their working environment. They're afraid to be themselves in their kind of peer environment, in their friendship environment, right? They're afraid to be themselves. So when they see you doing it, they think, oh, like there's a little bit of inspiration there. And the more people that do it, it takes that pressure off of others who are trying to be something that they're not, just to fit in. It's exactly the same with me, Phil. Like when I go and speak, like I've stayed true to myself with who I am and what I'm about. Listen, hip hop, old school hip hop will always be my favorite genre of music. And I will literally be wearing listen, my Jordans and my tracksuit bottoms and my hoodies and whether I'm going to speak in a school or indeed in corporate environments like offices. Listen, I speak at multi-million pound kind of like business like conferences where the people that have put on the conferences, you know, they've got their Armani suits and their Patrick Cox shoes, and the women have got Chanel dresses and their Jimmy Choo shoes. And then all of a sudden, in IROC, in my cap and my hoodie and my Jordans, they think, has he come to speak or rob the place? Like I'm not. And they might think, I think I'm a little bit of a joke at first, but then I'll start speaking and I understand that I'm the real deal and that I've got a very worthwhile and valuable message in which to give. And I can literally stand, right? This is the thing, Phil, is I can stand in any environment. I don't care where I speak and like who I speak to, or who I speak in front of, or who I speak next to. It doesn't matter what environment. It doesn't matter where I am and who I'm with, right? I could be in a room with Warren Buffett. I could be there with Jeff Bezos. I could be there with Bill Gates. Right? I could be there with all these people, Mark Zuckerberg. I could be there and confidently say I'm the most successful man in the room, because I know that there are people that are still walking this earth because of the effort that I've put in, because of the words in which I've said and I've verbalized, and the decisions in which I've made, and just the willingness to get up and step into the arena. I know that there are people still living because of me. And I know that no matter what you've got, Warren, no matter what you got, Bill, no matter what you got, Mark, no matter what you got, Jeff, I know that if any one of your kids or anyone, the people that mean the most to you, were going through a particular problem, and my words were the only things that would save them, you would give me the keys to your Bugatti. You would give me the keys to your home. You would transfer me any amount of money that you've got. You would give me anything that I asked for, because you would give all that up in an instant for what truly matters. So I know that I can stand in front of these people as myself, looking like, because even people, right, who have heard me speak, and they say, right, they may not know my name. They may not know my name, and they'll go, right, who's the guy? Who's the guy? The one that looks like a drug dealer? Who's the guy? That looks like a rapper? Who's the guy that looks like a DJ? He's the guy that I want to come in, and do a talk at my school or my university or my college or my business or my sport. He's the guy. Who is it? So me being true to myself just visually works. And by me not being anyone else other than myself, what I used get bullied for back in the day, because my friend's cousin used to live out in the Bronx, New York, like growing up. Like he used to live out in the Bronx, New York, and he used to set me over fashion. So if you can imagine, like I used to get bullied because of the stuff that I used to wear that weren't even in the UK at this point. Like we're talking like hip hop fashion from America, from like the Bronx, New York. Right, I'm wearing this stuff, and I had a very, very, very severe stutter as well. And I've gone from severe stutter, to one of the most high octane, fast speaking motivational speakers out there. You get more words from me per minute than anyone else out there. So it's like, it's one of the stuff that I used to get bullied for. I've stayed true to who I am, and now it's serving me well. And that's the thing, is I can say to these youngsters when I go into school now, if you are getting bullied, it's because you're different. You're different to the bullies. They see something in you that they wish they had. They see you as an easy target. They see you that they want to bring you down. Just like we've been talking about other people later on in life that want to pull you down, because you're reminding them that they can achieve what it is that they want to achieve, but they're too lazy to get there. They see a threat in you. They see something. So just be thankful that you're the one getting bullied, as opposed to the one being a bully, because those are the ones with the real problem. Those are the ones that are not going to achieve. And if you stay true to yourself, if you be yourself and like just flourish and embrace it, then life is going to work out for you. You're different, so that means you can make a difference in this world. So yeah, by being true to yourself, mate, like it will literally pay you back in ways that you can never ever have imagined. I'm not saying that you yourself don't need work, or don't need investment, or don't need development. Of course, we all do. But again, that's on you.
Yeah.
That's on you to put that work in. That's on you to make that decision. No one else is going to do it for you. So that's what you've got to do, is become the best version of yourself, but stay true to yourself as well. Because who you are is amazing, like phenomenal. And you have something to give this world, and you've got something, you have a difference to make. You have a mission to accomplish. You have a purpose to fulfill. That's what you have. So please don't go wasting it. And by doing it, by being yourself, is just an absolute tick in the box. It's just an absolute win in life. And I urge you to do it. It's worked for me. So it can work for anyone.
I think the most sort of heartfelt thing that one of my former bosses in a particular job, he mentioned to me, and I don't even need to mention, I'm not going to reveal the name, because obviously due to sort of maybe certain purposes, but no doubt if they do reach this, they'll know who they are.
No,
yeah, they suffered something themselves as well, and it was such a life-changing thing. They were on the phone, and the person had done unspeakable in regards to mental health on the phone, that unfortunately sort of passed. And obviously that's a hard thing to swallow, and to be able to sort of sink in, you know, on a physical aspect, because it's very surreal, you know, when you're on the phone to someone and something's happened to them, something tragic, you know, on the phone, and you're on the other side and they're trying to speak to you about it. And then all of a sudden you think, oh my goodness, how do I deal with this? This person's gone, you know, and they're not even aware of it, but then they realize that something's not right on the end of the phone. And they mentioned to me before I left the job, they said to me, I bet you're the same person as you are outside of work. I can tell. And I couldn't believe it. You know, I said, how do you know? He said, I just know that you are the way that you are. I've never known anyone that I've ever worked with, because he was my upline. He said to me, you bring out this presence in people, where when you meet them, when you talk to them, the way your mannerism is, the way you present yourself in terms of being like a people's person. And there's like sometimes we reveal. I don't do it to try and impress people. I do it because it's who I am, like you said, and I'm not scared to do it, because I bring out this part of myself where I have a likability. I've been told. I don't say that I've got the likability. I've been told I have a certain likability. Even those that find it quite hard to have actually mentioned it to me walked up to me. I said, I don't know. Oh, I had to say this to you, Phil, but for some reason, when you come in the office, people do like you. There's something about you. There's a likability. And I thought, oh, I really appreciate that. Thank you. What is it? I can't even explain it about myself. Maybe it's because I've come in and I haven't.
But it doesn't need to be explained, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
you're just kind of sending out those vibes, and it's kind of like you being you, which is just self-explanatory. So you don't need it explained. Just listen. If other people notice it, then that's good enough. If other people see it, then that's all good. Like, you don't have to prove yourself, or you don't have to prove yourself to yourself just by yourself.
Yeah.
If that see, then good. I'm just going to carry on doing that, because I can't be anyone else.
Exactly.
So you need to kind of explain it, mate. You know, just
how do you for some bits of advice for anyone out there, for all ages, when you get certain people where, I've seen this, you get this likable, pleasant sort of person, and haven't done anything wrong, and there's something out there that these personalities that go out there and bless his soul, there was a young lad, I think he was about, as far as I can remember, I'm just thinking back of the age now, he must have been around between 18 and 19 at the time. And I don't know if you was aware of it, there was a young guy called Ashley. He was in Chelmsford at the time, and this is regarding about knife crime. And one of the guys there, I think he's still sort of in his sentence at the moment. The guy that did it, that sort of ended this young guy, Ashley's life. And his dad, I think not long after that, after a few years after that, passed away, because I think he just couldn't deal with it. It just kind of broke him, emotionally, psychologically. Yeah. And I'm not going to go into too much detail, but when it comes to stuff like that, he had that kind of personality as well. And what do you think it is that drives people to do something like that to a person that has that likability? Because you have to be very careful of who you associate yourself with, because you could go out. I don't want to make people feel that, oh, okay, there are lots of nice people out there that they fear going outside their own door, because there's going to be someone out there that's going to, here you go, they might get shanked or something, or they might get hit by a baseball bat, or someone out there that, how do you feel? You should have to feel that way, because there were some youngsters that probably gone to their parents, where even young women, they get attacked, and I really feel for those, that's part of life. But I think it's more of, how would you introduce something where their feelings, because obviously it can't be helped for those when it happens to them, when they get attacked, anyone that's been attacked or verbally abused, physically abused, any form of sort of way, because it's still another form of bullying, isn't it? And you get young women there, you hear in articles, whether it's in Chelmsford, Essex, London, anywhere in the country, you hear all these different stories, and they've just been approached just like that. Nowhere. They could be walking out with the dog, and then all of a sudden some guy just comes out. I don't know, maybe they haven't taken their medication, they got attacked. So ladies in hospital because she'd been bashed about, or bit minor injuries or slight injuries, things like that. How do you overcome sort of something like that? How would you, in that position, with these people, what would you say? Because, it's hard, as that person, you know, not knowing, you stepped out your door and all of a sudden someone's gone, I don't like what you say, you know, because look what happened to, who is it? People, freedom fighters. Look at those, you know, that have gone before us, you know, because they've spoken up, they've taken initial sacrifices more than responsibility than what we have. And look what's happened. They've made the changes, but, you know, unfortunately their lives have been taken, you know, through doing something positive. You know, it's strange, isn't it, how it would have to come to that, where you have that nature. Because like Meg and other members of the family and other friends have said to me, look, you've got this nature that sometimes I think my mum and my aunts, other members of the family, you know, everyone else that I know, they're so protective, because obviously I'm my mum's only son. Yeah, okay, we can all be acting tough and everything and trying to handle yourself. It's not about handling yourself. I think it's just being a bit more savvy, you know, in terms of thinking, well, I can go out, but then how do you feel that you're not being overprotective with yourself, where you think, oh, hang on a minute, I think I'm overthinking it. I'm going to go out. All of a sudden, I've heard all these bad things happen out around in my area. How do these other people have to feel, you know, when they go out? You know, they must be in this position. You know, I've sat here, read this story, and I've even met some of the people that it's actually happened to, and that I've gone. You know, there was another youngster. There was a local pub nearby where I am, and then someone took his life. You know, there's so many different reasons and factors of it that we ourselves in society are not aware of. There's so many different reasons and factors of why it's happened that we're not aware of behind closed doors, because we only hear what was seen, what we read on the article, you know. But how do we overcome that, being able to give these people like ourselves, where we see something, you think, oh, shall I go out? I might be fearful, because you get some young women, you know, and some young men, or even other younger people, or even older people of all ages, you know, and they feel that, have that sense of vulnerability, you know, because of these things. You know, do you think it's partly to do with media again, having that fear factor? You know, being able to, you know, we're not being, okay, we're talking about truth here, like you and I are, you know, now, you know, we relax, it's raw, but it's perception of things, isn't it? Sometimes you hear more bad things than oh yeah, well done, you know, little David or John or Cassandra over there down the road just won a gold medal for her team trophy for the local netball team. Yeah, you might hear that, but you don't hear it often enough, you know, on a weekly basis or daily basis. You might hear the odd one, but that'll be it. That'll be another year gone. That's just, you know, on an annual thing. But then all you hear is killings, bad mental health things, stuff like that. What about the aspect of the flip side of saying, look, we're here to help. This is what we can do, you know, rather than now we're starting to we have to have something where we've had to have certain organizations or groups like suicide awareness, prevention, you know, things like that, to be able to be pushed up out from the surface, you know, into the surface, to be able to get these things started. What do you think of that, Jamie? You know, in these all different things, people feeling vulnerable, you know, do you think it's just an individual thing, or do you think it's people surrounding them, giving them enough support to say, look, you shouldn't have to feel that, you know, go out there, you know, and go out and live, because that's, you know, you get these things that happen in life, because you know, if you fall off your bike, you're gonna get up again, aren't you, just to be able to ride it, right? Otherwise, if you don't get up again, you'll never ride the bike.
Yeah, you know, we can only make decisions at any given moment. Yes, we can overthink things. Yes, we can be overprotective. Yes, we can make a good or a bad decision at any moment. But you know, again, it's one of these things that there's a lot of different factors that are involved, and there are environments, and there are kind of like elements that Some people may not have taken their medication, and they kind of go out there and they lose control of themselves, and they end up creating carnage. And yes, you know, listen, the media is the media, because negativity sells, drama sells, scandal sells. So of course, right, they're going to keep on pumping out all the bad. They're going to keep pumping out all the bad, because what does that do? That keeps people in fear. And when you're fearful, you can be controlled, right? So in many, many different ways, it's easier to control and influence and manipulate someone who's fearful and scared and panicking, right? So, but what you also have to see is the power of something. Positivity is very, very powerful, unbelievably powerful. And listen, there's so many good people out there. There's so much good work going on out there. But it only takes one tiny little drop of negativity that can have a massive, massive, like, ripple effect. Like, we're talking like devastation and carnage and chaos. It can have a ripple effect of hurt and pain from one tiny thing. It's like the Stereophonics song, right? Like the lyrics that say it takes one tree to make 1,000 matches, but it only takes one match to burn 1,000 trees, meaning that only one match can cause such devastation, right? So you can be like a community of beautiful people, right? And you go out there and you raise money, right? And you're helping people, like you're amazing people. Then all of a sudden, just one person comes into that community and takes someone's life. That whole community is devastated in 1 second, just one, absolutely annihilates the community. So negativity is so powerful. So that's why you have to work double hard with the positivity to scrub it out, because negativity is so powerful. But this is why it happens to good people. This is why bad stuff happens to good people, right? And I can't sum it up any kind of easier than this. And it's going to be have to be like one of the last things that we kind of talk about, mate, because I'm literally on my last bit of battery here, right?
Yeah, but no worries, mate.
This is why bad stuff, horrible stuff, evil stuff happens to good people, is because in this world, plain and simply, we are dealing with good and bad. We are dealing with good, and we are dealing with evil, be it behavior, be it mindset, be it energy, be it vibes. It's good and it's bad, right? Good and evil. So good will help good. Good will help other good, because you're both doing the same work and you want to help each other and you want to achieve the good things. So you will help each other. Good will never go out and hurt bad, because it's not in good's character.
Yeah.
Evil will help evil and do evil things, because they're both doing the same work. Evil will go out and hurt good, because it's just in its character. That's it, plain and simple. When you're good and you're positive and you're productive and you're someone that wants to give and help, you're portraying the good. That upsets evil. Your spirit, right? Literally, sometimes, Phil, right? Like you said, you're so likable, right? And people have told you this. You will upset people just by being you.
Yes.
Because your good spirit upsets their demons inside. Do you understand what I'm saying? So there's no ifs, buts, or maybes. There's no real logical reason about it. It's just because your goodness upsets their evil, right? Yeah. So evil will want to just hurt good, because it's in evil's character. Good will never, ever, ever go out and hurt evil, because it's not in its character to do that. It's in good's character to help other people doing good and to help and do the best that it can for other people, because that's its character. That's its mission in life. It's not to go out there and hurt. It's to go out there and help. Evil will always hurt good.
Right. Just to wrap things up, if there's anyone that would be interested in your material and your seminars, just to let people know, how would they be able to contact you on there? Have you got a website or anything like that, or anything like that? Contact you? Let them know, while you're here, about how they'll be able to contact you on your website and what they can do, you can do for them, you know, and where you can help them in other areas. Because I know sometimes some people, you know, where this will go out, it will filter through to from where I am. When it goes out, when I've actually launched this actual pre-recorded video conversation with yourself. Like I said, everyone else, thank you very much for being tuned in for the Phil Carew Show, and it's been an absolute honour to have you, Jamie. It's been long awaited and sort of been really great to have you on board. Yeah, what would you say in terms of sort of informing people quickly? So I know I don't want to sort of keep you too long because of your battery on there. Yeah, where would they be able to find you?
Before it goes, but yeah, you can see a lot about me and what I do, what I'm about, who I've helped, and there's other stuff on there on my website, which is www.jamiedenyar.com. Jamie is as it is, and Denyar, DENYER.com. You can also look at me on social media. Instagram's a big one for me, and that is at Grief Preacher, all one word, at Grief Preacher. And yeah, you can get in contact that way as well. There's a lot of content on there. There's a lot of material on there. But listen, you can always reach out to me with a message. You can ask more information. But yeah, via the website, but especially Instagram, which is at Grief Preacher, but also Facebook as well, which I don't use as much, but I still use it, which again is under my name, Jamie Denyar. Any help that's wanted or required, you can always message me. Ask me about my products, about my services, about my help, how I can help you, how we can work together, what we can achieve together. And yeah, listen, the coaching, the advising, the mentoring, coming to speak in different organizations that you might work in, whatever, schools, colleges, universities, youth offender institutes, prisons, sports teams, corporate. Listen, it's all good. Yeah, so you can contact me in those ways, and I'm always there for people for whatever it is they require or need. But yeah, Phil, listen, it's been amazing, my man. This has been a long time coming, but I think with what we've covered, with how we've gone about it, with the value that we've given, it's certainly been worth the wait, my man.
I really appreciate that. Thank you very much, Jamie. Right, folks, I'm going to let this great man get some rest as well, because this is one of the best and sort of long running. No doubt, you can imagine when this.
May not know, Phil. Sorry to cut you off, but what people may not know is because by the time this goes out, they can be watching it at all kinds of times. But at the minute, it is currently 19 minutes past midnight as we're doing this now. So it's listen, we are putting in the effort, mate. We are putting in the work. We practice what we preach, right?
That's right, bro. Yeah, stay tuned, folks, because Jamie and I, for future reference, I know because behind closed doors and even after this, we will have some time together where we'll be look out for some workshops, because I know we'll be doing something together in the foreseeable future, but we'll confirm that when things will get sorted out between us. So thanks once again, and we'll see you soon. Take care. Thank you very much.